and welcome to Interviews of the Past. I'm your host, Brianna Kozlowski, and today we will be interviewing 5 people to better understand the lives of people in the southern United States. The North and South are more connected than ever right now. Roads, canals, and railroads have been connecting the two regions. What was that?
Oh my God, breaking news. The cotton gin has caught fire.
Oh my God, all right. Anyways, today we will be interviewing a plantation owner, the plantation owner's wife, a yeoman farmer, a slave, and a free person of color. Our first interviewer will be Mr. Cook, the plantation owner.
Hey there, fella. My name's John Cook, and I'm a plantation owner from Louisiana.
Sir, it's pronounced Louisiana.
Louisiana. Generations before me have lived here, so it's pretty big. I'm real wealthy, and I own over a dozen slaves, and I'm pretty proud of that. I've also been married to my wife, Dorothy, for 11 years.
15 years, John! Hi, my name is Dorothy Cook. I got 2 children, Betty Sue and Lil Johnny. They still keeping me young. I've been living on this plantation for the whole 15 years I've been married to John, although he forgets sometimes and I have to remind him, but you know how that goes.
Okay, that's enough.
My name's Landon. I'm an ex-slave from the Cook Plantation. It's in Louisiana. I have 4 kids and a wife, but we all got separated years ago. When that happened, my whole life changed completely. I escaped, and I've been looking for my family ever since, but I haven't found them.
Name's Bill Lee, Master Cook giving me my name. I work on plantation, grabbing cotton, and working for Master Cook. I cook for Cook, clean for Cook, and I do whatever Cook's wife Dorothy need me to do. I ain't make no money, but it don't matter because I ain't got nothing to spend it on.
I am Jacob Smith and I own a small farm with my wife Bertha in a hilly part of Louisiana. We live on self-sufficiency. We own a 2-acre farm which we call home. We established the Smith Ranch about 10 years ago. We have 5 cows, 10 chickens, 1 rooster, 2 sheep, 2 pigs, and 1 donkey. Also, we grow tomatoes, eggplants, and various fruits and vegetables throughout the year. I personally love the isolation and loneliness of the hilly part of Louisiana, but my wife hates it. I also enjoy the folk culture of society.
Hi, Mr. Cook. My name is Brianna Kozlowski, and I would like to start off by thanking you for coming on my show today. My first question is, how is the money you earn from farming on your plantation used?
Well, me and my wife like to throw parties for just about everything and show off a little bit. Like I said, we throw parties for just about everything. Christmas, horse races, molasses stewings, and whatever. Dorothy likes to get a little carried away sometimes, though. She can have a little bit of too much fun because she complains that her domestic life is too boring, but I think she should be ecstatic to take care of her own family.
What are your thoughts about paternalism? Do you personally think you are a paternalist?
Well, ma'am, I feel like us slaveholding men are at the top of the social pyramid, so we should take care of those below us, such as women and slaves. My dozen or so slaves and my family appreciate my paternalism, I think. I certainly do not agree that paternalism is just a justification for slavery. Not at all. I view it as making life for those below us easier. Like one day I'll marry my daughter in boarding school off to a wealthy man, for instance.
In regards to your views on paternalism, what's your opinion on slavery and how enslaved people are treated?
Well, I personally believe that slavery is just all right. Like I said earlier, I'm quite nice to my slaves. All they do is give me work in exchange for clothing and housing, which is all that there is to it. Of course, I have my days and I get a little snappy, but everybody does, and that's okay. Of course, I'm not like that Bennett Barlow fellow that shot his slave Guinea Jerry in the thigh and all, but I guess everybody has their means of making their money. I guess it doesn't kill men to be kind of their slaves once in a while, but I'm not going to tell another fella how to run his plantation.
Now, Mr. Cook, how do you feel about the abolitionist movement?
I think that abolitionists are a bunch of pansies. I've stated multiple times that I'm quite nice to my slaves, so I think they're complaining about nothing. It especially rubs me the wrong way when my wife Dorothy likes to talk about it, especially slaves and abolition. I've been reading up on the Southern Quarterly Review, and I agree with everything those fellows are saying over there. Women should accept their husbands' ideas as their own, and I'm somewhat glad, however, that Southerners are trying to stand up to abolitionists.
How does each person in your family contribute to your life?
Well, since I'm the dominant figure in my family, I kind of like to think of myself as a master as well. I married my wife, Dorothy, a few years ago, and she's been such a great wife. I can just tell that she was educated and raised to be an amazing wife because she knows how to play her part. She takes care of the kids, 6 slaves, manages the house, and looks over everything in the kitchen. She misses her family quite a lot sometimes, but I just tell her to be quiet. The thing about Dorothy is she never knows when to be quiet. My daughter Sue's at boarding school right now, and she misses us a lot sometimes. But she writes home to my wife sometimes, talking about how emotionally unfulfilled she is, whatever that means. She'll be married soon to whoever man I choose, so that's coming up. And I don't think she's too excited about that, but whatever, it's not her choice. So our other kid, little Johnny, he was a mess when he was younger. My wife Dorothy almost died in childbirth due to complications, which are really common around here. But sooner or later, because he's growing up so fast, he's gonna have to learn how to run the plantation.
Hello, Mrs. Cook. My name is Brianna Kozlowski, and I would like to start off by thanking you for being on my show today. My first question is, what have you heard about the women's rights movement?
Oh, I have heard about women's rights and how it's spreading in other places. It would be awfully nice to have that opportunity around here. Of course, John doesn't think it's right because his thoughts should be my thoughts. That's what he always tells me. I heard there's women that don't even have a husband in some places. They got their own property and jobs and everything.
Well, that's...
I know, John. It's uncivilized.
How would you describe your role in society? Are you happy about your role, or would you like to change it and advocate for more women's rights?
Well, I'd like to think of myself as the backbone of society. Without us women, none of the house chores would get done, and no one would be here to raise the kids or tend to the slaves. In my opinion, everything would fall apart. As for women doing all this free talk of their rights, I would say good for them for standing up for themselves, but John here wouldn't want me to do anything about it. I guess I'm right just fine staying here and following my husband for the rest of my life. It would be different though, to make my own money, have my own land, to go out sometimes and not be cooped up in the house all day.
What is your daily routine and work?
Well, I tend to just about everything in the house. Cooking, cleaning, taking care of the kids and the 6 slaves. Since Betty Sue's at boarding school, I don't have to worry much about her. She writes to me every so often to tell me how she's doing, but I sometimes feel like she's not accepted.
Oh my God, Dorothy, nobody cares about her problems. We hear about them every single day.
Anyways, little Johnny, he's growing up too. He ain't so little no more. He's been giving me some trouble, telling me about men controlling things and that I shouldn't be telling him how to live. I still worry about him though. Anyways, the rest of my day, I'm busy making the house look proper. After I'm done all that, sometimes I can rest for a while in the afternoon before I start supper and cleaning up at the end of the day.
What recreational activities do you like to do during the time when you're not working?
Well, one thing we do often around here is throwing parties for just about any occasion you could think of. I absolutely love planning for those. It's one thing I can do besides the domestic work all day. I especially like parties because I can catch up with some of the other women I haven't talked to for a while. I don't get much time to spend with anyone besides my husband and children, which is fine and all. My husband tells me I should love serving the family, but it's certainly nice to get away from my work. When I get the chance, I like to visit my sister down a ways and see how she's doing. That's a rare thing though, because I gotta take care of my family first and make sure that John is comfortable all day.
How did you feel about marrying your husband, and how has your relationship with him been since?
Marrying my husband was, well, it was what my daddy wanted, so I tried to make it a happy occasion. I didn't know John too long before we were married, but he seemed like a better man than the rest of my father, and I guess I wasn't too upset about it. To tell you the truth though, I was a bit nervous for my wedding day. I kind of think of it as the day that I gave up my freedom, so not that I had much to begin with, and start a new life as John's wife. Ever since then, it's been very routine. He goes to see over the plantation and take care of affairs in town, and I stay inside and do the housework. We don't see much of each other. There are times when we argue and he gets real mad at me. Usually to quiet me down, he'll give me a good...
Okay, this is over.
Hi, Mr. Smith. My name is Brianna Kozlowski, and I would like to start off by thanking you for being on my show today. Now, my first question to you is, how are you involved in the political and economic direction of the South?
Even though human farmers make up the most of the white Southern population, we didn't control the, what did you say again?
The political and economic direction?
That of the South.
How did you feel about wealth and success?
I feel like I've made a lot as a human farmer. I've always wanted to have room for, how do you say, improvement. I would eventually like to have a big enough farm to own enough slaves.
Which political group do you side with?
I am Republican.
And why is that?
Well, they mostly believe in the local government and the mainly farming nation economy and based on small independent farms.
How is your life affected by the improvements of transportation?
What is transportation?
Okay. That transportation is how you get from one place to another.
Oh, my life isn't really affected by the improvement of transportation. I mean, I lived in a small town in Louisiana, and I live off the land, so I'm not really affected by it.
And my final question to you is, how much land do you have currently, and how much land do you wish to obtain in your entire lifetime?
I have 20 acres at the moment, but soon John Doe is lending me, and I'm gonna buy it off of him, 30 acres, and I cannot wait.
Hi, Mr. Lee. My name is Brianna Kozlowski, and I would like to start off by thanking you for being on my show today. Now, my first question to you is, what is your daily schedule as a Southern slave?
Well, I wake up on in the morning whenever master needs me. I do what he asks when he want it, however he want it. I disobey, whipped. Talk back, whipped. Eat his food, whipped. Don't do work, whipped. Most of my day be whipping, to be honest.
What is the hardest part about being a slave?
Hardest part about being a slave is simply being a slave. Working for another man, rarely a woman, with no breaks and hard discipline. There ain't nothing easy about being a slave, you trust me about that. If I had to pick one thing about being a slave, it'd be picking cotton. It's hard trying to get the seeds out of that damn cotton. It makes me so angry. My hands are in pain so much, it kills. I can't even sleep sometimes.
Your responses to the previous questions have seemed like they stirred up a lot of emotions. Can you elaborate on those?
Well, the most common emotions I feel are anger and sadness. I'm sure angry that I have to be a slave and that I ain't got no choice than to be a slave. I'm angry that I gotta take my beatings from Master Cook and deal with it, because if I try anything, I get even worse beaten. I'm angry that life ain't fair. But when I ain't got enough energy to be angry, well then I'm sad. I'm sad because I feel like I lose hope sometimes.
Now, in your last response, you said that your master's name was Mr. Cook, I believe?
Mm-hmm.
Now, how does he treat you?
Well, Master Cook treat me like any other plantation ought to treat any other slave, I'd imagine. He's a little nice to me if I work real hard, but if I start to slack, he start whipping me. He a master with a temper, and he don't know how to control it. He treat me like he call me property. He don't feel nothing except pleasure when he beat a poor soul like mine. His eyes don't show no regret. It's scary sometimes. He don't treat me like none of the family. He treat me like the plow he used for the field. I guess I ain't treated very well, simple as that.
Now, it seems like you've been a slave for a very long time. How long have you been a slave, and have you been a slave your whole life?
Well, I've been a slave my whole life. Don't even know who my own mother is. I'm 26 years old, and I don't even know none of my parents. I know they dead, at least that's what Master Cook tells me. I'd like to think they're proud of me for taking what Master Cook have done to me, but I don't really know. I've been a slave for 26 years, and I ain't never been happy. Ain't nobody want to be a slave, believe me. I'd rather be dead, plain and simple.
Hi, Mr. Smith. My name is Brianna Kozlowski, and I would like to start off by thanking you for being on my show. Now, let's start with your story from the very beginning. How did you become a slave in the first place?
Oh, I was actually born into slavery. Both my parents were slaves on the Cook's plantation, so slavery is all I've ever known.
I was told that you came up with a plan to escape. How did you come up with the plan to fake your own death and escape?
Originally, my best friend came up with the plan for us both to escape that way, but he got killed about 2 weeks before it actually got to happen. So when that happened, I took off myself.
Now, how did he get killed?
He was caught stealing food from the owner's house, so he got whipped to death.
When you hatched your escape plan, did you think about your friends or your family?
No, hell no. Once they killed Jacob, I knew it was time to go. Most of my friends were either sold away or beaten to death or ran away themselves. So no, I was alone.
Now, I was told that you got split up from your family. Did you ever think about finding them or maybe breaking them out?
Like by myself? Nah, no. It's terrible what happened to recaptured slaves, and I wasn't gonna put myself through that. I don't know where they are. We got separated, and they've been gone for a while now. I heard about this underground society that helps people find their families again, but no one knows if that's true. So if I find them, then yeah, but for now, no.
Was it difficult to start your life over again in a completely new place that was unknown to you when all you knew was life on a plantation?
Yes, it was very difficult. I couldn't go into any towns or ask anybody for help. So finding food was probably my hardest part, and shelter was terrible. I heard about people in the north that help people like me, but I don't know where to go to get there.
Was there anything else that was difficult about it?
The not knowing where I was. I've only been like 2 places outside the plantation, and other than that, I was very lost.
Well, that's all, folks. Our interviews covered different views of people in the South, which include a plantation owner, the plantation owner's wife, the plantation owner's slave, a yeoman farmer, and a free person of color. After all the new inventions and opportunities that surfaced in America, such as the cotton gin, railroads, canals, and more, looking at Southerners' lives can be extremely educational and different in comparison to one another. This was Interviews of the Past, and I'm your host, Brianna Kozlowski, and have a good night.